The following program is an OCAmedia community-produced episode of Oregon Life. We would like to thank our sponsors, the Oregon Brooklyn Optimist Club and the Oregon Freemasons. We are proud to have you as our sponsors.
I'm Dave Ebert. I teach math here at Oregon High School. I've been teaching here for 28 years, and I've known Mike since probably day one of my teaching career. He's taught here a couple years longer than I have. So yeah, Mike and I, we've known each other, been close for quite a long time. We in our younger days, we used to play volleyball here in the community at a place called DJ's. We used to do Thursday night trivia together. Used to get out a lot more before we had our own kids, our own families. You know, we and a few other younger teachers, we were kind of our own support group at the time. And so kind of growing up here in Oregon with Mike and with a few others, you know, it's been quite a journey. You know, with Mike's liver transplant and then catching COVID, it hit a lot of us hard. It was probably one of the first major, I guess, major things that impacted me and my group. Just, you know, thinking here was our group of the younger teachers, and I guess not so young anymore, but this health scare really kind of opened a lot of our eyes and woke us up to a lot of things. And I remember visiting Mike in the hospital, and you know, things didn't look good there for a while, and we're, you know, trying to be positive, trying to be encouraging. And I remember I went with another friend of ours, and we walked out of that room and we both looked at each other, and our jaws kind of dropped. We were, you know, it really hit us that this was real, and this was a lot more serious than we thought it was. And so we're just very thankful that, you know, Mike has come out of that okay, and he's back to his old self, and everything's all right with him. But, you know, it's interesting. We were walking the halls before, and you see all the artwork on the walls and on the ceiling, and you think about, even in this room we're in, there's just art all over, and that's just Mike's legacy here, you know. And I don't know how much longer Mike will be teaching here at Oregon High School, but you know, when he chooses to retire from this place, his legacy and his vision will live on for a long, long time, because, you know, there's artwork everywhere in this building, whether it's from the hallways to the beautiful gallery in front of the school. There's just so many reminders of what Mike has built here.
Outside. This is, you can tell by the brick. So this was outside, and this was the old shop room, you know, like tech ed. And so, right in here somewhere, I think it's right in here, I used to have this is where the door to the art room went. So.
When you started?
When I started, yeah. And originally, so the school was built in '68, if I remember correctly. And so, yeah, so then when they, you know, kept adding on stuff, down there became the new tech ed. This became the art room. I have no idea where the art room was before that.
Before that?
Yeah. And so, and like these rooms were actually when I first got here, this was all part of band. Band and orchestra actually had where the guidance counselors are, and into here, this was like practice rooms and stuff. And then across, like now where we got the fireplace and the glass, that was where the main office was. Well, the art room has become kind of that showcase for all the artist stuff over the years. This is where it all kind of started, and then we started spreading out into the hallways and things like that. So these ceiling tiles would have been some of the first ones. You know, some of them are over 20 years old already. And then, of course, a lot of the stuff on the shelves is actually different drawing objects that some were brought in by kids. A lot of it was brought in by me. I was a huge collector of like all the Happy Meal toys, and so they become our subjects that we can draw from and work from. And I always kind of joke that someday when I retire, this stuff will all stay. I'm not taking it back home. I really believe that art can be taught, and so I think that comes from a little bit of when I was younger. I always liked drawing. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it was so much that I realized I was good, but people told me I was good. I had an incredible art teacher. My art teacher was my art teacher from K through 12, so he was the only art teacher I had all the way through my formative years into the high school part. So he still talks about how my second grade teacher called him down to her classroom and showed him some drawings that I had done. And I had drawn some presidents in 3/4 view.
I guess probably the first and clearest memory I have is his classroom teacher, Mrs. Horvath, coming down and saying, "You got to see what this kid is doing." And it was Mike. And most people are familiar, I guess, how little kids draw and things. It might be a circle with a couple dots for eyes and a line for a mouth. He was drawing pictures of the different presidents, but not only was he drawing them, he was drawing them from a 3/4 view, which was just unheard of. I've never heard of a kid doing that before. You know, over the years, his favorite things to do, like hunting and sports and stuff, always showed up in what he did in class. I can remember, I don't know, I can't put a number on it, but most of the things he drew and things were ducks or something, or else football players, or you did in high school. In high school, I think when you were playing, you did things kind of self-portraits, kind of, or whatever. With you were 52, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With your number on whatever football player he was drawing or whatever. And then he's always loved the Packers, and so he's done a lot of watercolors and stuff like that of the Packers over the years. I mean, he's been associated with St. Jude's Children's Hospital for 25 years or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he's done a watercolor painting each year for a get-together they have as a fundraiser, and his paintings have become pretty popular. And there's been years where there was a guy who was buying the print every year, or the painting every year, no matter how expensive it got. I mean, there were a couple times he spent $400 and some or whatever buying these watercolors that Mike did to raise money for St. Jude's. And that says a lot about him as a person too, I think. I kind of have to laugh because he usually sends me a picture on my phone the day before where the picture he has to have done, it's only half done. And so he's kind of scrambling to get it done, but it worked out pretty cool too, though, because sometimes he does it at school, and the kids can watch him, make this picture as it progresses and stuff, and that's a learning lesson for him and for them, really. Pretty cool. Over the years, I guess we just have similar interests, and it's grown into a good friendship. I mean, we went to Europe together. When my daughter was a senior, we had a French boy that lived with us, so Mike got to meet his family and stuff, and I've stayed in touch with him over the years and stuff. I'd like to go back and see him again, but that trip was pretty cool too. I mean, a lot of good memories there too.
We're thrilled today to be able to present one of Oregon's finest educators, one that came highly recommended, and it's our pleasure to recognize your colleague,